right, moving along with ProPresenter 7's tutorial in depth on how to create and get everything ready for the weekend. So we've created every document we need. We've linked all of the documents that we need. Certainly there are some things that don't need to be linked and they just appear empty. But everything is kind of ready to go, but now we need to format it. So what I'm about to show you is the in-depth, nitpicky OCD version of how we want to comb through ProPresenter 7 to format it every single week. So first and foremost, we start from the top and work our way down. That's the best way I've found to do it. Jumping around, I can often miss things. So normally, video pre-service is actually going to happen before the preview song. It's just wrong inside of Planning Center right now, but I'm not going to edit that today. That'll be for production meeting next week. So in this case, I want to ensure that I've got two things set up on the first slide of every single document. The first one is stage display, and that's the little man icon right here at the podium, man at lectern there. And then the little mustache dude is the audience look, and that's the second thing. For each of these, we can hit edit actions if they're already there. If they're not, we would add the action. Again, stage is the dude at the pulpit, and the audience look is the little mustache guy. So we want to check every single song. Unless we've done it inside of ProPresenter 7 already, we want to check every single song because they will be wrong. So in the case of this song, it is already set up correctly because I built this today. So I can go to Edit Stage Action, and it is set to Worship because it is a song. I can go to Edit Audience Look, and it is set to Preview Song because it's a preview song. A quick reminder that the stage look changes what the stage display is, what template or theme is applied to that. So as we scroll through these, this is what it looks like for the band. And then the audience look is actually changing what goes to the center screen, and in the case of the preview song, also the main screen. So right now, when I'm on a preview song mode, nothing goes to the center screen and nothing goes to the main screen. If I had this incorrect, and let's say I had it under worship mode for a preview song, I would see that there are lyrics going to the main output and lyrics going to the center screen. But this is a preview song, so I want to make sure my audience look is set to preview song. Stage display is going to be worship for any song the band is playing, and then preview song and worship for audience looks, depending on which one it is. Next up, we've got the pre-service. The first slide here has an audience look. And this should be the same because we just keep this document from week to week, but the stage action is set to countdown 9 a.m. pre-show. There's two timers on there, timer commands, and those are to start and reset the 9 a.m. and the 11 a.m. countdowns. The little mustache guy is going to set our audience look as well. And that is set to video because up after that is a video. So this is something we need to add. We're going to do, here's our pre-host playback from last week, but we're going to just put it in there as a placeholder. And then this slide right here reminds us we need to add video stage display cue and video audience look to this one. So I'm going to hit add action, audience look, video, add action, stage, and then drop this down and select video with PCO. So now both of those are on there. Every single video we load in, with the exception of very, very, very few videos, we are also going to add a go to next timer at 0 seconds to this video as well, which is what this little icon is right here. You'll see the same thing down here on the worship intro. So that when this video plays and it reaches the end of the video playback, it will automatically go to the next slide, like that. That is why we add a go to next timer. That is also extremely helpful for when we have two videos back to back and we want them to play sequentially. The go to next timer will automatically play the next video after that. The third slide here in the video pre-service will actually set the stage and audience look. One to worship, and then edit actions audience look, preview song. The reason for that is it's just now up and ready for this thing. So just in case this person just goes to click this slide, it's already set. And that's because we have this go to next timer, and it just helps eliminate the potential for mistakes. Up after that, worship intro, we use the same thing every single week. So what I usually just do is I just check this stuff. So as I click these, I can drop down on the right side here and look at just stage display. That's what changes the most often throughout the weekend. So I see here that, okay, this has changed. This has changed. This has changed. Okay. And then we'll go on to the song Rattle. Rattle is one we've done in Pro Presenter 7, but I'm going to just check it. It does not hurt to check, especially stage action, worship, cool, edit action, audience look. That took a total of 10 seconds. It really was not that bad. The next thing I'm going to look up for all of the worship songs we do, we're going to make sure that they are set to the correct theme, which means you'll see this little checkered background, which means there is nothing there. There's no black, there's no white, there's no image, there's no nothing except for text. The next thing we're going to check is to make sure that all of the slides are labeled correctly. This is something that is difficult to know unless you've done it for quite a while, but basically all of the colors should look similar. So as I mentioned before, Rattle is a song that we have done before in Pro Presenter 7, so I know instinctually that this is already correct. Things to check is that there are no white slides, so if you see white here at any point, then something's probably else is wrong. But what we want to make sure is that all of the group slide labels are up to date with the current colors. In order to set our graphics up for success, we want to ensure that every single song looks the same. So even if it's a song that we did once 5 years ago and we're doing it again, we want to make sure that it's updated and looks like this new format. So if we go on to No Longer Slaves, this is a song we have not done in quite a while, and I can immediately see that it looks kind of close, but it's different. So the main thing that I see is that it doesn't have this little checkered background. It's got a big black background. I also noticed that there's only the stage look and not the mustache audience look. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start from the top and format this song correctly on how we like to see it nowadays. So if I right-click on the intro slide, I can edit my stage action, which if you look, nothing is there. That's because this has not been updated to Pro Presenter 7's list. So I just need to click Worship and hit Done. And then I'm going to hit Add Action and hit Worship as well for audience look. So now I've got the little lectern and that, and it's all set up, and now it's appearing. The next thing we need to do is set this song's theme to the new song theme. So if I command select the first, hold the command key and select the first slide, and then scroll down to the end and hold command shift on the keyboard and select the last slide, that will select all of the slides in this presentation document. Then I can right click, hit themes, go to songs, and choose lower third center 3 line, which is what our current song theme is set to be. Doing that switches the background off on all the slides. It makes sure all the font stuff is correct. And then I'm going to go through and do a quick look, and you see how this one says verse 1 and then this one says verse 1 all on the same slide? That's because a whole bunch of these have title or slide names that were from a way old version of Pro Presenter, but now we've got this first one that's after the number is the actual title of the slide group that it's in. So I can command select all the slides and go to label and hit none, which removes all the individual slide labels but none of the group labels. So this intro with the yellow is a group label, verse 1 with the blue is a label, and we can see here that bridge 1 is gray, bridge 2 is gray, outro is black, instrumental is orange. All of those colors I happen to know are the correct colors. So let's move on to the next song and see if we can't find anything else weird and different. So Living Hope. Step 1, let's check that stage action. Nope, let's set it to worship. Cool. Let's add the mustache guy, which is our audience action, or audience look action, and let's set that to worship. Now let's set the theme. How do we do that again? We Command select the first one, Command Shift select the last one, selects all the slides in this song, right click, themes, songs, and select the correct theme. Cool. Now, it looks like all of the labels are the correct thing. Verse 3 is one that we've changed lately. Chorus 3 is one that we've changed recently as well. Chorus 4 is also pink now. Used to be white or something like that. So that all looks correct. There's none of those weird other labels on any of the slides. But now the last question I want to do is make sure that that this song is in the right formatting that we're trying to do now. For the most part, we'd prefer if all of the slides were either 1 or 2 lines. We're happy to do 3 lines if it's absolutely necessary, but not every song is absolutely necessary to have 3. For instance, this weekend we're doing a song called Build My Life. This song, if I can get to it here, the choruses are 3 lines, and I've chosen to keep them 3 lines because one of these lines by themselves doesn't make a complete thought sentence, and they're sung together somewhat quickly. So, holy, there is no one like you, there is none beside you, open up my eyes and wonder. So it's all kind of one thought, especially show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. So, especially the second line right here, what am I being filled with? I'm being filled with heart. What am I being led with? In your love, or, all that. So, so this song specifically lends itself to having 3 lines. I think it makes sense. I'm okay with it. Sometimes some things aren't. So let's check Living Hope real quick. Most of the time, if I had a question, I would bring this up on my phone and listen to it. This song itself is a fairly slowly sung song. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name. Jesus Christ, my living hope. So if I play this real quick. Now, I could totally see this song having 3 lines. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But what if if I click the line before the last one and hold Option and hit Enter, that'll split Jesus Christ, my living hope onto its own line. I like, in the instance of this song, I think Jesus Christ, my living hope is such an exclamation point that I think leaving it up as its own slide helps actually bring power to the words that people are singing. I also think that the transition between there's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope, that breath there gives it time to transition just fine. I think people will easily be able to follow along with that, but it's always important to test it out and listen to how it feels in context. So the next thing I see is on verse 4, out of the silence the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. This is similar to the last one, where I think this could be its own slide, and we are no longer doing, in parentheses, yas, that kind of stuff. We're keeping some of the O's, although that still might be a little bit up in the air, but superfluous yas and O's and shouts and weird little things, we are removing those words from the lyrics. It's up to the vocalist to remember that point of that song is there. But we've separated on chorus 1 here. We've separated out these last 2 slides. Let's make sure to do that on every single chorus. So, Jesus Christ, my living hope, select the last line, or the line before the last line, hit Option Enter to break it into its own slide. And so now that's great. Same thing on chorus 4 here. Jesus Christ, my living hope. That line is then also repeated in that final chorus, so that's got its own slide, and we keep both of those both of those slides there, so that as we transition to it, they know that there's a second one coming, and then that's the last one, and we're out. So now this song is formatted 2 slides, or 2 lines per slide, and feels good. If it needed 3 lines, again, that's totally okay. But if it's at all possible to make it just 2 lines, let's figure out a way to do that that makes sense for both what the lyrics are saying, how fast they're being sung and transitioning between those, as well as the lyrical thought. If that line was by itself, would it lose meaning and momentum and all of that? Let's think through those things. So now the songs are formatted correctly, but we need to add some other stuff. So I'm going to scroll back up here. I said to do this in order, but I just wanted to show you quickly on song formatting. That last one, we're not going to do, we may or may not do the speaker intro song, but we won't have slides. The welcome offering intro, I'm going to leave this as it is. I think actually Brian is going to be doing this, but we're using this document on the 23rd, so I'm not going to edit this because that would screw that up. This is just changes that we'd make midweek for next week. So we've got a name slide for the host, and then any other slides that we might have in here. We might have speaker specifics, for instance, like this previous weekend. We had a slide, and we wanted to put that in there, and we can have that up in there. Interestingly enough, sometimes this happens where the slide's actually there. It's just not showing it to us. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And most of the time it'll happen. So let's put this blank slide after that. So we've got the name slide, and then we've got his full screen slide, and then we've got nothing, and then we've got the lower thirds, and now that's in order for the offering. It's always an easy and quick way just to check what our audience and stage displays cues are. So in this case, for welcome and offering intro, we've got speaking on the audience side of things, and for the stage, we've got video with PCO. If it was a sermon, we'd actually use the sermon one for hosting, because oftentimes we'll have full screen slides and other graphics. We'd actually just leave it on video so that the stage display output can see a preview of what that graphic is going to be. Next up, weekend update. I'm going to use a placeholder here. We've got our weekend update right here. I'm going to put this onto there. Most of the time we'll then also have the series bumper after that. Once we put both of those in there, what I'll do is select both of them and change the go to next timer to 0. And then I will also, on the weekend update, I will also add our audience and stage looks to that video. 9 times out of 10, the graphics op will click this slide and then play the video. If that doesn't happen, there is critical things on that audience look and that stage look that don't happen, and that is something that we want to try to avoid. So if it's a single video on its own, so for instance up here for the pre-host playback, this has to have the stage and audience looks because we're actually transitioning from the different set of stage and audience looks here. But even just for this worship intro, I've got the same exact commands on it that I do on that first slide, just in case. Again, that is totally just in case. In the example of the August 30th weekend, we're actually not doing the series bumper as a separate item. We're actually just keeping it playing right after the weekend update. And then next up is sermon. I actually just noticed, interestingly enough, I linked the sermon to the wrong part. So I can hit unlink here and then relink the sermon for the 30th into the sermon segment, and that keeps all of the same formatting we did on the sermon. It's just now in the right segment, so I just wanted to show you that. Living Hope, we've got that song, we've already formatted that. We're not having any slides for the closing. We're not actually doing the video post service from this computer, so this will actually go away. And then last up, we have song credits. Now, in this example, we've already got the song credits for August 23rd, but we've added these new backgrounds, and we can choose the next one if we want to. I can go in and edit, and I can actually pull up those credits that Whitney has so graciously pulled together for us. I can copy that, and then I can Command-Shift-V those into there. Now, this is important. Credits do not copy-paste correctly. There are some additional things we want to do, so I'm going to explain that here in this segment. So I've pasted the text of the credits into this document, but we want to choose different settings of font sizes between the song title and the rest of this information. The song title itself, we're going to keep at font size 50, but the rest of it, we're going to choose font size 42 because it is the answer to life and everything. Sometimes ProPresenter will do this weird thing with the text. You'll just have to check what you're highlighting. It does this because for real small font sizes, it'll try to boost it so you can make it easier to see. That makes visual formatting really weird and stupid. But if you just click off of that, you'll quickly be able to see that that it's actually correct. So now it's working correctly. So the song title is font size 50. Everything else is song size 42. All right, in addition to the font size, we're actually going to change the rest of this to medium instead of bold. So just the song titles are bold. Everything else is medium. So you can do that when you're changing the font size. I just forgot about that. So now that this is, we can go back to show mode. And as I click this, I can see that our song facts now look beautiful and awesome, but this slide is still disabled. If I enable it, it'll brighten up and look bright and normal, but we're going to disable it for right now because this is just ahead of the curve. This weekend we're using this document. Next weekend we'll use this one. What we'll do is we'll bring this over here. We'll enable it, we'll disable this one, and then we'll hide that one down there and keep the rotation going. But for this week, we want it a little bit more, like this. So this one's disabled, this one's enabled. Up here we've got stage display and audience look set up to be, let's take a look at them. Stage action is video so that we can see what the next slide is. And our audience look under edit is set to video as well. Full screen graphics are videos, for lack of a better term. They're not actually motion, but we treat them the same as videos. So now this weekend is as set up as we can make it, but there's some certain things that are going to happen. For instance, when those updates come in with this stuff reorganized, I'm going to hit update, and it's going to reorder them, and it's going to be great, grand, and wonderful. There is not a way to delete this and then re-add it without losing all that work. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll just hide this top one up here, and whatever the bottom one is, we like to tell our graphics ops that that is the one that you're going to be wanting to look at. Certainly I could delete this and relink everything. All of our documents are created, everything's formatted. I'm not going to lose anything there. It's just the work of linking everything in the document in the playlist is what we'd be missing if I deleted that. So that is a super in-depth look at everything that we would need to do for a standard weekend. Certainly there's some times where we're going to create additional presentation documents for special elements such as baptisms. We do have a lot of those items already pre-created. We can just modify it. So if we're doing baptisms again, we've got 2 testimony parts right here. They've got videos in them. We can just delete those. We can add the new ones in. We can set the stage and audience looks, and we're off to the races. But sometimes we'll want to add some special Christmas element or some special whatever. We can always just create a new document by going to New Presentation right here and choosing what we want to name it, choosing what theme we want to use on it, hitting it, and then going to town editing it. So that is a quick overview. Just kidding. That's an in-depth overview of everything that we may or may not do on a typical weekend, things we want to check, things we want to make sure. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you've got questions, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'm happy to answer those. Again, this is how we use ProPresenter 7 and how we're choosing to do it. There may be some features that we're blindly just ignoring at this point because we don't need them. But if you've got questions or suggestions on how we can make this more clear for you, please let us know.